Together,
we die together.
Bad marriage for life.
I want some of your brownsugar. I want some of your brownsugar.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. This is Brownsugar Commentary, and I'm your girl, Kayla. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more videos about Black entertainment, Black womanhood, and whatever else I feel like talking about this week. All right, let's get right into it. So today, I want to talk to you guys about Will and Jada, child. I want to talk to you about them because the things that's been going on with them in the media in the last year or so, especially within the last couple months, give or take, is definitely very interesting. And it's something that we gotta talk about. We gotta discuss, okay? But I definitely want to talk about them, especially as it relates to parasocial relationships, because they're like an excellent case study in parasocial relationships, especially within the Black community. So for starters, I wanted to highlight this Refinery 29 article that does a great definition of what a parasocial relationship is, because we love definitions over here. Okay, so listen to this article I found on refinery29.com entitled, "What Does Parasocial Relationships Mean?" The concept of a parasocial relationship was coined in 1956 by Donald Horton and R. Richard Wohl to describe the way mass media users acted like they were in a typical social relationship with a media figure, such as feeling as though they are friends with a radio personality or a TV character. While this type of one-sided relationship existed long before the invention of TV and radio in the form of political figures, gods, and spirits, the growing role of mass media in people's lives had brought these relationships into prominence. So much so, it's become overwhelmingly common for people to describe any relationship on Twitter as parasocial. The definition of a parasocial relationship is where a viewer or audience member becomes attached to and invested in a media character, be they real or fictional, who doesn't return the emotion. A sense of intimacy and closeness develops on one side, but the other party in all likelihood does not know the former exists. Over the years, as the media industry has grown, parasocial relationships have become more common, especially in pop culture, from Beatlemania to the fans of 90s boy bands to the exceedingly involved stan culture of today. So you know parasocial relationships because we all kind of have them. If you have a celebrity that you like or you grew up watching, you're invested to so to speak in some form of level in their life, right? Their successes, their failures, who they're dating, if they have kids, all of those things. And you grow up, especially nowadays where we have 24/7 access to celebrities, we are definitely involved in a parasocial relationship or two or 10, okay? Especially within the Black community, because Black community love their celebrities, okay? Be they someone like a Tiffany New York Pollard all the way to Denzel, okay? We love celebrities. We love to see Black people doing the damn thing, okay? We are very much invested in. Even more than that, we love Black couples. The whole Black love phrase that has been very prominent within the last decade or 5 to 10 years, give or take, is all about us being invested and cheering for Black successful couples. You know, it's the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncé's and the Barack and Michelle's of the world, you know? It's the reason why there's a whole documentary series on OWN called Black Love. You know, and although we should talk about that show one day, we will have the conversation, but you get what I'm saying. Like, Black love is a thing that we typically are invested in and we love to see, and we are going to give our hot takes or two, whether that relationship thrives or fails. And Will and Jada are a great example of that, because who did not love Will and Jada, or does not still love Will and Jada? But for starters, let's talk about who they are, right? So Will Smith, you know him, you love him, okay? Will Smith was a rapper in the late 80s into the 90s, and then made the successful transition to being an actor, who starred in the successful hit comedy series, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And following the ending of that series, he went on to do pretty big acting roles. You know, he was doing Men in Black, Training Day, Ali, I don't know if y'all consider Wild Wild West a hit, but you know what I mean? He made movies, okay? He was a big movie star, okay? In the 90s, he literally, whatever role he wanted, he practically got, and that's that on that. And still did music from time to time. And then Jada Pinkett Smith, you know her best for her debut on the hit sitcom A Different World. And, you know, she was one of the 90s it girlies, the 90s girls next door, the love interest. You know, she was on movies like Set It Off, Low Down Dirty Shame, The Inkwell, Jason's Lyric, all types of, you know it, okay? She's been in some stuff, okay? But yeah, so they got together in the late 90s. Will was previously married and had a child before, but he got a divorce and got with Miss Jada in 97, and they had 2 kids, Jaden and Miss Willow. And like I said, when these two got together, everyone was happy for them for the most part, because these were 2 celebrities that people adored. Like, you know, and like I said, people love black love. People love a good power couple, okay? And things were on the up and up. Will and Jada had this silliness and openness about them that other Hollywood stars simply just didn't have back then. Because if you remember, the way that celebrities used to be back in the day were very much aloof, very much, you knew them, but you didn't know them. Like, you only knew about celebrities based on what they tell you. The only time certain things will fall through the cracks is when tabloids and paparazzi found out things, which is why that became such a lucrative business, because there was so much we did not know about celebrities back then. And while, you know, we could appreciate the Denzels and the Paulettes, you know, and the Courtney Vances and the Angela Bassett's, but Will and Jada was just not that, you know? They were not this statuesque type of closed off type of couple. They were practically a brand. And like I said, people liked their openness and their silliness so much so that they were asked to host the BET Awards one year, which is something that they never asked any couple to do. And no couple has done since. People talk about them in songs. You have Alicia Keys talking about we can act out like Will and Jada, okay? And then you have, as recent as J. Cole, talking about that Jada and that Will love, okay? They were couple goals, okay? And that persisted for most of the 2000s. And then, you know, we get into late 2000s when Willow and Jaden get a bit older, and Jaden does the Karate Kid, and Willow is doing Whip My Hair. And I think they were praised for their like kind of unorthodox or like hands-off type of parenting, because looking at Willow, who was probably, I think, 9 when Whip My Hair came out, and she had the shaved hair and the colored hair, that's something that simply is not common in the black community. Black mamas do not do the colored hair, honey. Like, at all. They don't do the colored hair, and they certainly don't do the shaved hair. So they're like, what Will and Jada got going on over there? But a lot of people thought it was dope and it was cool. It was a new level of parenting or new style of parenting that we simply haven't seen. So, and it seemed that both Will and Jada was very invested in their kids' success. And it seemed like the kids were on the right path to following their parents' footsteps. And so we move, right? Then we get into, well, now, okay, or the past, let's say 5 years. So Will and Jada are very skilled in knowing what's going on in the world, like how to stay relevant. And what I say by that, like I said before, where to be a celebrity back in the day was just you're talented, let your talent speak for you, and if people like you, they'll just rock with you, and you can be as aloof as possible. And while that still works for certain people like Denzel, or even someone like as recent as Viola Davis, or even Beyonce to an extent, where we don't know them, but we still rock with them. We still, if they come up with a movie, we gonna go watch it. But while that works for them, you know, nowadays you gotta have a social media presence. You gotta be relatable above all. That's the reason why Cardi B is so successful, because she was a girl simply just being her authentic self on Instagram, and then she translated that to being on reality television. And that's why when she comes out with Bodak Yellow and Invasion of Privacy, people are invested because they knew her. We've seen her evolve, and we were rooting for her because she was essentially the underdog. And that's why she continues to shine, because she had that social media presence. And so the more transparent and the more relatable you are, the more people are going to root for you. And that is why I believe both Will and Jada decide to make that pivot to making a social media presence. So Will, was on, he made an Instagram profile and it was a whole big deal. And, he was doing these skits and all these cool things on Instagram as well as YouTube. I think he had a whole like YouTube series where he was bungee jumping and doing all these things. And so he's and even on TikTok, he's very successful on Instagram. And for Jada, we have the Red Table Talk, honey. Red Table Talk came out back in 2018. And the Red Table Talk was simply, Jada, Willow, and Jada's mom, Miss Gammy, okay? And them sitting down, 3 generations of Black women just sitting down having candid, open conversations. And they're talking about everything from relationships, self struggles, life struggles, family struggles, they putting it on the table, so to speak. It was giving Ayala Fix My Life, but we're keeping it in the family. And Jada Pinkett already had this down-to-earth kind of chill personality. So this was like definitely in a good way to go, right? And so the show was a huge hit for a show that was on Facebook Watch, because who the hell was watching anything on Facebook Watch before this, right? And like I said, the show was doing pretty damn well, even nominated for Emmys, okay? But what really blew Red Table Talk up is, while there were, some good episodes that did well, that involved, other family members, and like the show started inviting celebrities to come in and talk about their experiences, and Jada and Willow and Granny give their input and such or whatever. What really took the show to the next level in terms of popularity was with Miss Jordyn Woods. When Jordyn Woods, who we all know was, affiliated with the Kardashian family, and they had a huge blowout because allegedly, Jordyn and Mr. Tristan Thompson, who's supposed to be Khloe Kardashian's man, her baby daddy, shared a kiss. She was exiled from the family. But little did they know was that Jordyn Woods, and the whole reason why Jordyn Woods was like in the Kardashians, like whatever neighborhood or whatever you want to call it, is because Jordyn Woods' dad was involved on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, meaning that she has a close relationship with the Smith family. So when the Kardashians thought that Jordyn Woods was going to be discarded into obscurity, Miss Jada came on in and said, not my girl, and was able to spin the situation so that Black people, especially Black Twitter, was in Jordyn's favor. And we were like, Kardashians, not this one, okay? And ever since then, I bring it up because ever since then, Red Table Talk has kind of become this like PR fixing machine. Like every time a Black celebrity gets into some foolishness, they go on the red table, or even other white celebrities as well, because Miss Girl, whose mama from Full House got in trouble for giving that money to the schools and stuff, she was on there too. So it's just become this place where if you get into some trouble with the PR and public opinion, you come on, Jada tell you everything's all right, and you're good to go. Because, Snoop Dogg went on there, T.I. went on there. And like I said, I think the girl's name is Olivia Solomon, I think. Is her name Olivia? I feel like her name is Olivia. Neither here nor there. So that's kind of what Red Table Talk started to become until last year. So last year, Mr. August Alcina, who we all know as an R&B singer who emerged around like mid-2010s with his hit single I Love It, and among other songs. But, he was this young dude from New Orleans. He had this charisma, this aura to him that the other R&B boys just didn't have at the time, and he blew up. But then he kind of like faded in the background for a while. We didn't see him for a while, and we learned that he was having some health troubles. Also, I believe both his, he had some family members passed away. So life has not been easy for Mr. August Alcina. Also, if you ever listen to his music, you know that his brother was murdered at a young age. He's dealt with homelessness, and he's from New Orleans. So you already know people with New Orleans, they have Katrina and the fallout from Katrina. So it's a whole lot of things going on with Mr. August. But what Mr. August made his big comeback last year, and he did an interview with Miss Angela Yee of Breakfast Club fame. And in this interview, we learn that him and Miss Jada had a relationship, a very intimate relationship, which has people like, what? Wait a minute. Ain't Jada married? What? Did she cheat? Is this okay? Was her and Will separated? What's going on here, right? However, here's the thing. Will and Jada have always had this speculation that they were like swingers or they had an open marriage, because they always just had this, the way they spoke about their marriage, kind of saying that they are non-traditional. A lot of people interpreted that as, well, it must be y'all letting other people in your marriage or whatever, because what does that really mean? And technically, non-traditional doesn't necessarily mean that other people are involved, but they never denied it, so people just ran with it. So this wasn't completely shocking, but it is still pretty shocking considering August Alcina is significantly younger than Jada. And like I said, they never came out and said that they were messing or were allowed to mess with other people. So people were like, what's tea? And so when, August says this, the media blows the hell up and everybody's like, what's going on? We need to take, Jada need to take, or Will need to take Jada to the red table. What is this about? What's going on? So finally, I think almost a week after, August says what he says, Will and Jada go on the red table talk, and what happens after this is just very interesting. And I mean, Will and Jada discuss the nature of, her and August's relationship. I mean, it all kind of started because August was a friend of, I think, Jaden's, and, Jaden was bringing him around, and he, seemed to get really close with Jada because Jada was really understanding of him and certain things he was going through. And he was, going through addiction as well as some health issues. And, who doesn't want to hang with the Smith family? Like I said, their family goes. Like, people want to be with them, so why not? And we did see August with the Smith family. There's, a record of it. And like I said, nobody really batted an eyelash because we assumed that he's probably cool with Jaden or Willow because, they're around, like, close enough in age. Like, Jaden has friends that are around August Alcina's age, so it's not really weird. He's a rapper, so, no big deal. He even, appeared on a Red Table Talk episode where they were talking about addiction. And you can tell, like I said, that he's a close family friend because even in this episode when Granny was talking about her own struggles and she's getting choked up, you can see that August is really, like, showing a lot of compassion and empathy. And you just, like, while he could just be an empathetic person, I don't feel like he would be so comfortable to be, touching her hand and, looking so endearing in the eyes if he wasn't hanging around them a lot. So, so there's some truth to him being around, right? And Jada is not really telling us that they had something going on, but she's telling us they had something going on, right? Because she refers to their whole thing as an entanglement, which to this day couldn't tell you what the hell that means. What does that mean? And so, and Will even is kind of getting frustrated in this interview. You can literally say he's like, entanglement. Like, what the hell is that? Like, what is it? In the words of Miss Ayala Van Zandt, call a thing a thing. If you had a relationship, you had a relationship. Because this young man's calling it a relationship. So what is it, right? And like I said, this is the first time I feel like we see the cracks in Will and Jada's persona, per se. Like, yes, it's still raw and it's relatable, but I feel like they were holding back in this interview. And like I said, had they just came out and just said that they had an open marriage, this wouldn't even be as big as news as it was. But I feel like being in an open marriage kind of ruins their whole Black love united front type of thing. You know what I mean? So whatever. Like I said, the interview is very interesting. This is where they say the iconic bad marriage for life, which was, and they do a little nervous chuckle, but we were like, ew. And things just take a turn from there. So we have that happen, and things were remotely quiet after that. We we move on quickly in the social media age. Things seem to be going fine. Real Table Talk is still happening, whatever, until recently. So first, I want to say it was a GQ interview with Will Smith that happened a couple weeks ago, where Will Smith says something along the lines of, or in the GQ interview, he says, Jada never believed in a conventional marriage. Jada had family members that had an unconventional relationship. So she grew up in a way that was very different than how I grew up. There were significant, endless discussions about what is relational perfection. What is the perfect way to interact as a couple? And for the large part of our relationship, monogamy was what we chose, not thinking of monogamy as the only relational perfection. And so, once again, is hinting at y'all are swingers, okay? It's hinting at open marriage, but once again, they're not saying it. And so once again, people are talking like, what is this? What's going on? What's it giving? So people were talking, and Will also revealed in this GQ interview that he will be revealing the real Will Smith, because he feels like for a long time, like I said, growing up in the old Hollywood where you have to be a certain way and, you know, show a certain, you not reveal too much about yourself and whatever, you know, Will felt like he was trying to be, you know, not himself. He wasn't really being 100% himself. He's just trying to be a good actor. And now he's like, I'm ready to show y'all the whole me. I'm in my 50s now. Like, I'm doing what the hell I want. So y'all gonna get the whole me, the whole tea. And he's putting out a book. And so he said he's not holding nothing back in this book. So everybody's like, what he finna tell us? What he finna tell us? And the other thing he reveals in this is like, Tupac, and that's another weird thing about their relationship, Tupac. And you guys remember, or Tupac plays such a huge role in Will and Jada's like relationship, which is super weird because Tupac been dead for like 20 some years now. And as far as we know, that him and Jada never had a romantic relationship. They were very close friends. They grew up together, went to the same high school, I want to say. He played her boyfriend on A Different World, but they never dated. Like when Tupac died, he was engaged to Quincy Jones, one of Quincy Jones's daughters. So it's just very weird that this whole conversation that keeps happening with Tupac and Jada, like they were some soulmates or something, and it feels like she just settled for Will because Tupac was gone. And like, even like I said, the fact that Will talks about in this GQ interview that he was jealous of Tupac and that's why he never met him, and it's a whole thing. And it's just like, what is this about? What is that? And why do we keep talking about it? Like, what's that about? Like, what is it about? It's just weird to me. Like, I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but that's just how I feel. So that was the first thing, a conversation about the book and the non-traditional marriage thing again. Like, we're like, what's going on? Now, recently, on a Red Table Talk interview, you know, with Gwyneth Paltrow, I think was the guest, Jada was talking about intimacy and sex, and she was just, what she was saying was valid. Like, you know, when you're with somebody for a long time, you expect them to kind of know everything, especially what you need and whatever. And, you know, you kind of think that your partner is a mind reader, but they're not, and it makes you frustrated and all types of things. And somehow, you know, the media, like the Shade Room and Baller Alert, interpreted that as she's not satisfied in the bedroom. And of course, people ran with it because it seems like it's an on-brand thing. It just feels like I said, the perfect Smith family that we knew is ruined. And like I said, especially because of the August Alcina situation, because it was Jada that stepped out on the marriage, essentially. She's been made a villain in the media, which I'm not really here for, because so many male celebrities cheat every day, B, okay? And none of y'all nearly have the amount of smoke that you have for them as their Jada. And really, if you're gonna vilify Jada for anything, it would be taking advantage of August Alsina, because honestly, that whole situation never sat right with me. Like I said, Jada is significantly older than Mr. August, and yes, August was grown at the time when they had a relationship. It's like the circumstances to which the relationship started, he was in a vulnerable position. He came for help, even though I don't know what help Jada was going to give him, but he came for help. And like looking at August's history or whatever, it seems like he's a very complex relationship with his mother, and it almost felt like he was looking for a mother figure. And, you know, sleeping with this man when he clearly was like in love with her. If you watch the interview with Angela Lee, he mentions that he was like in love with her. And knowing that you're not leaving your husband, this is just something you literally did to feel good. This is what she says. It's taking advantage of a vulnerable person, and I can't get jiggy with that. It's not cool. It's not cute. It's not it. That if you're gonna vilify her for anything, vilify her for that. But at the end of the day, y'all love to refer to Will Smith as like he's some broken, wounded bird or something. Like he's such a victim. And it's like if Will Smith wanted to leave, he would leave. And for all we know, and what he alluded to in that interview with him and Jada is that he's had his own little entanglement from time to time. Okay? We all believe that him and Margot Robbie did the horizontal poker once or twice during them filming of Focus. If you know, you know, okay? And he probably just had them girls sign NDAs, okay? So we don't know anything about Will Smith. We just know what he shows us, as he said. So I don't really like the fact that y'all keep trying to make Jada out to be the villain in these situations when, one, like I said in that interview recently, she ain't say nothing of the sort. And two, Will Smith is not a victim. He's not. If he was so unhappy, he would leave. He's clearly happy with Jada, and he clearly wants to still be with her because they're still married. And while, yeah, I mean, there's benefit of them staying together because, like I said, people like them as a couple regardless. If they wanted to break up, they would, and they've told us millions of times that they're not breaking up. But, you know, I just find it very interesting, and I wanted to bring them up because, like I said, I really don't understand even Future has weighed in on it and talking about I'd rather hang with Jada. And I'm like, Future, ain't you like 40? Shut up. Like, I'm so sorry. That was so cornballish of him to do. Like, boy, worry about yourself, okay? Worry about yourself and your whole situation, okay? With all your children and your baby mamas and all of that. Go figure that out, okay? Don't worry about Will and Jada, what they got going on. But I bring Will and Jada up, and what this whole conversation is, like I said, is one, I don't understand the vilifying of Jada and why she gets all the heat so much in this situation when the thing y'all should have had smoke for her for, y'all were silent on. And some of y'all even tried to come for August Alcina saying, well, if I was messing with Jada, I wouldn't have said nothing. And she's da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, y'all are just not paying attention. Y'all are not the wrong things. The plot, you're missing it, okay? But also, like I said, it's a great case study in how we see celebrities and how we view celebrity relationships and how invested we are. Like, we are truly invested in Will and Jada's relationship. And it's very interesting because I feel like while I do think we need to divest a little from celebrities because the more we learn about celebrities, the more we realize how flawed they are. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, celebrities are human. Like, they're human beings. They have flaws. They are not perfect as much as we are led to believe so. And I'm not saying I'm excusing all of Jada and Will's behavior. What I'm saying is they're not perfect. And it's time we stop putting these celebrities on pedestals. Because at the end of the day, you peel back the layers of some of these celebrity marriages and they're barely holding on by a thread. Not saying that Will and Jada is holding on by a thread, but it's not looking cute for them. It's not looking cute for them right now, okay? Like I said, that the once fun, goofy, relatable couple is getting too relatable. You're sharing too much now, okay? Like, it's getting wild, it's getting crazy. And like I said, I can definitely see why we were so enamored with them because, like I said, people like Jada and Will respect, like, you know, as individuals, and of course they get together, we're invested. And like I said, we've seen their marriage blossom for 23 years now. So, you know, it's definitely something to talk about and discuss, but like I said, the one thing I just don't understand is why does Jada get all the smoke and why? And even like the way like I said, they feel like she settled for Will Smith in a way. Like I said, the way that the narrative goes is like Will Smith is this goofy dude that just, he ain't really popping. And she just was like this beautiful woman and she just settled for him. Like he a bum or something. Like that's Will Smith. And she got with 97 Will Smith. Like, are you kidding me? Jada did not settle, babes, okay? She did not settle. Like, yeah, Will is nothing like a Tupac, but that doesn't mean he's not a prize. And I'm saying that in terms of, like, I don't know that man for real, but you know what I'm saying? Like, Will Smith is a somebody. Like, she ain't settle, my point is. But yeah, I just don't understand it. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this entire Will and Jada situation. What are your thoughts? What do you think's gonna happen? What are we gonna get in this tell-all book? Like, let me know all the tea, all your thoughts, all your opinions down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll definitely see y'all in my next video. Peace out, y'all.